going to be making monkey bread in our mise en place unit, and the purpose of this lab is to give you guys the opportunity to toast your nuts and spices as part of the mise en place techniques for this recipe. So why do we toast nuts and spices? When we're talking about spices and nuts, when we toast them in the oven, it really brings out the flavor and the aroma of that, and it's gonna just increase the flavor and aroma of your overall dish. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and taken my ½ cup of walnuts and put them on my cookie sheet, and I need to add to this my 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now it is very important when you guys do this that you're keeping your cinnamon and your walnuts separate on the baking sheet because they are going in different places in your recipe. And I'm just gonna spread this out a little bit, and I'm gonna pop this in the oven for about 10 minutes until it's nice and toasty. All right, I just took my nuts and my cinnamon out of the oven. I'm gonna go ahead and take my peanuts or my walnuts and set them aside into a bowl. And then I'm going to take a large Ziploc baggie, and to this large Ziploc baggie, I need to add my toasted cinnamon as well as a ½ cup of sugar. This can get labeled with your name and group number and set aside until tomorrow. Alright, it is day 2 now, and we need to start by greasing our pan. Now in here we're not actually going to use a grease, but at home you might use something like a cooking spray. What we're going to be using is parchment paper. So I have a full sheet here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this so it's a little bit bigger than the size square of my pan. And then just go ahead and dispose of the extra piece. So if you look, this is about a little bit bigger than the size of my pan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in at the corners so it creates a folding so that when I actually set this into my pan, it folds at the corners and will be perfectly sealed for when I add in my monkey bread. So I'll push it into the corners and fold them over on themselves. And I have a perfectly lined pan, okay? So I'm going to set this aside and I'll be using it a little bit later. The next thing that we need to do is go ahead and prep our biscuits. So one of the cans I've already opened here, but I do want to show you how to open this one. So on the back corner, there's going to be a little arrow of a paper that you can peel, and go ahead and peel that off all the way around the biscuits. And once you've gotten that, it literally says press with a spoon here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap it against my table, and it'll pop open from there. And you can open up your biscuits. Now, according to my recipe, I need to cut these into quarters, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my knife and cut them into 4 pieces for each biscuit. And I'm going to do this with all my biscuits until they're completely cut. So what I did is I grabbed my cinnamon sugar bag from yesterday, and I've started to add in all of my pieces of my biscuits that I went ahead and cut into quarters. We're going to add them into this bag and then shake it all around so that all of the cinnamon sugar can coat all of the pieces really easily. And these cinnamon sugar not only is going to give it flavor, but it's also going to help them from not stick together, which is going to make it easier to pull apart when you actually go to eat it. So give it a good shake until they're all coated. Okay, so I went ahead and shook all my cinnamon sugar into my pieces, and I'm just going to toss these into my pan that has been lined with the baking sheet. Any extra cinnamon sugar, just let go in there because it's going to stick to those pieces as it bakes. Okay? Spread it out nice and evenly. And then to the top of this, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on the walnuts that we toasted in the oven. Okay? And a ½ cup of raisins. And they're a little sticky, so I'm going to use my hand to sprinkle them around. So, okay. My next step is to go ahead and mix in a bowl my 3/4 cup of melted butter, and 1 cup of brown sugar. And don't forget, whenever we measure brown sugar, we need to make sure that we're packing it in so that we get all the flavors. And then I'm going to add this to my bowl with my butter. Go ahead and take a wooden spoon and stir that up really, really good until it's all combined. You can see it has a really nice creamy golden brown color. The last step is to take this mixture and all that goodness and pour it over the top of your monkey bread. Make sure you get every last drop. So I'm going to use my wooden spoon to scrape. And then make sure it's spread out all over them. Alright, my oven is preheated 350 degrees. I've got my oven mitts to make sure that I don't burn myself. And I'm going to go ahead and pop this in for about 25 to 30 minutes until it's nice, fluffy, and golden brown.